Okay, geeks, today we have the privilege of taking a sneak peek at Tamiya's latest release in 72nd scale, and that's their F-35A Lightning II. This kit is due to come out in mid-August. We'll have an MSRP of right around $50, and I'm quite excited to actually take a look at this thing. If it's riding on the heels of their 48 scale release, I have high hopes here in the 72nd scale. Before we break into it, I do want to say thank you to the fine folks at Tamiya USA for providing the ModelGeeks podcast with this pre-release review sample. That's exciting, and I'm looking forward to breaking into this. Looking at the box, I mean, there's no surprise here. In typical Tamiya fashion, the artwork is great, and of course, you know, they have always done just a great job with their packaging. There's no doubt about that. You know Tamiya when you see it from across the room, a Tamiya box, right? So that said, let's go ahead and break this bad boy open and see what we have on the inside. Okay, there we go. A lot of plastic, right? So let's see, 1, 2, so 4 there, 6 screws, 7 including the clear parts, so that's really not too bad as far as the parts counts go. Let me tell you what, let me do this. Let me go ahead, because it's hard to see in here, right? Let me go ahead and break all these bags open and get the noisy stuff out of the way. Be right back. And there we go. So now we won't have all that noisy plastic running around. So the first thing I notice here is the 2 fuselage halves, and this I think is in keeping with the let me get this out of the way so we see a little bit better. It's bad enough I'm already doing this on a gray background, but they're keeping in the spirit of the 48 scale build. So surface detail on these things looks really good. I know that there was some back and forth with the 48 scale kit when it came to the ram coating. I can tell you this is not very pronounced. It's just barely raised, and it's probably just going to fold right in and blend in well once it's painted. The surface detail in typical Tamiya fashion is just wicked good, so I'm expecting some pretty good things out of this once it's all put together. Same with the bottom, you can see. Also like that, it looks like we got some ledges inside here so that you could do this in flight, pose it in flight. We'll see. I know on the box it shows that we can put the wing pylons on. Note that there's no provisions really for the belly to be open on this. So yeah, we'll check that out as we throw into a build on this thing. The next sprues I have here are the pylons and weapons. Let's see, it's stuck together here. Wow, how did that happen? I'll see what happened. There we go. The weapons and pylons. Pylons are of 2 pieces as well as the weapons. You can see the laser guided bombs will be 2-piece. So that does bring together a little seam area there, but if you put any type of fire coating on those heat protection coatings, then those seams should disappear fairly well. The sidewinders are all done in 1 piece. Wheels in 2 pieces here, but the detail on them is really good. They're not weighted, so we'll have to break out the old skillet technique and get us a little weight on the tires for those. But 2 of those sprues looks good. Sprue number A. Okay, here we go with the lower part of the nose section. You can see the detail work inside there is pretty damn good. So is the wheel wells. Now if you look at the bottom, you know, this is going to go on. So there's not going to be, through these little holes, that is going to be just enough detail, I think, in there to make it look really, really good. Also, really jazzed that they put a pilot in here, so you can have him sitting. That's good stuff. The detail on the ejection seat's really good. Be really curious to see how much of this we're going to see once we get the cockpit together. But yeah, I'm really jazzed about that nose gear. It really looks good. And then the final gray sprue we have here, it looks like the cockpit tub. And we have the intakes, exhaust, and verticals on here. So there's some landing gear pieces, nose gear pieces over here. I do like that they got the canopy frame molded separate. We'll look in the instructions here in a second, but if, matter of fact, it does look like it's able to be molded open because you can see this piece here, which would keep it at the canted angle for opening forward. So that's pretty cool. Pilot inside, cockpit open. That's going to be a pretty cool looking little 72nd scale jet. So the last piece of plastic that's in here is the clear parts. And of course, I'm not going to take these out because I don't want these to get scratched. I'll leave the plastic on. I do see that the canopy is not tinted, so we'll have to take care of that. I am really jazzed that they've added this little piece here. That's the electro-optical targeting system, or EOTS, and it goes on the just underneath the nose. And you can see, I mean, here again, I'm not going to take this out, but it's all the glass panels. And I'm hoping that there's mask included because where it could be done, those little pieces would be really hard to get masked up because that's actually a part of the nose. Let me see here. Right here, it would be where your EOT system sits. So that's going to go over the top of it, and will need to be painted accordingly. So that's cool that they added that in there. Pretty cool stuff. Let's see. Instructions. We have, paper-wise, we have instructions. We have a color call-out, it looks like. We have some decals. Let me get this decal sheet. And oh, look, there it is. And mask. That they got them for the yachts right down here. That's awesome. So we do have some masking stickers on the back of what I call stickers. I am going to break these out because I want to see how thick they are. There has been concern about Tamiya decals in the past being thick. I think if you use the right products on them, that it should work out fine. I am going to use the kit decals whenever I build it, and you know, I mean, they look good. I can see in here where the carrier film does look a little bit thick, but we are going to give it a shot, and we're going to build it in an out-of-the-box fashion, which means we're using the kit decals. It looks like we've got markings here for, let's see, 3, I think it is, 3 aircraft. So, yep, so here's a U.S. version, and this is the 34th Fighter Squadron, or 388th Fighter Wing, U.S. Air Force Air Command, Combat Command in Hill Air Force Base in Utah. So that's a mouthful, but there you go. A lot of decals for such a little airplane. Have to see how that goes. Then we have two different paint schemes here, it looks like, from the Japan Air Self-Defense Force in Misawa. The 301st Fighter Squadron and the 302nd Fighter Squadron. So undecided if I'm going to do a U.S. jet or keep in the tradition of the Japan Air Self-Defense Force. We'll see. We've got plenty of time. I think the paint is pretty much the same regardless. So speaking of paint, in the instructions we have all of the, let's see here, we have all typical Tamiya, all your paints required there. And you see there's this list of LP paints is getting bigger and bigger as that range grows. Full disclosure, I didn't have some of these. I have ordered them from Sprue Brothers, and I'm waiting for those to come in. So I will be doing the entire paint mixed as it says in the instructions, as in out of the box. So the instructions, of course, it all starts just the way any other aircraft build does, and that's with getting the cockpit all put together and ready and in, followed by landing gear stuff in preparation for closing up the fuselage here. Intakes, you know, so two-piece intakes, but I am willing to bet you a crisp $100 bill that you're not going to be able to see any seams in there because of this complex curvature of these intakes going into the motor area. So something we'll take a look at. And here you can see what I was talking about with the call-outs on the paint. LP14 is 7-to-1 ratio with LP59. I'm going to do all those mixes and, like I said, do it all in Tamiya paint. Let's see, onto the landing gear down here. And then we have some different ordnance configurations here depending on what you're building. So I guess at this point here I'm going to have to decide what I'm going to do before I decide to start drilling holes. So we'll see how that works out. I don't know if I'm going to put ordnance under or just do it slick. We'll see. They call that beast mode, as you can see right up here. Beast mode with your GBU12s and the AIM-9s on there. And you know, as well as what they would have internal. It's a lot of stores. Beast mode, I think, is probably the way to go. So we'll see. Anyway, so on to the little fiddlies and fuselage. You know, putting it together. This intake now. So here's another mix here, and Whitey did our build of the 48 scale, and he's got some. He just did a beautiful job on it. And one of the things he did is he mixed back here and followed the LP instructions as well, because this exhaust is not like a typical metal exhaust you'd find on an F-18 or an F-4. It's got a little bit different hue to it and a different texture. It's hard to explain, but you'll see in the future as we get this thing built what I'm talking about. We're going to mix these together. It worked out really well for him, and I'm hoping it will here too. And then, of course, on to just, you know, fiddly bits here, putting fiddly bits in, how much I love fiddly bits, landing gear, etc. Here you can see how that EOTS goes on that I told you about before. I'll probably have all that well before I start doing any painting, obviously. And then on into the final flap slats, flight control surfaces, etc. All your weapon store stuff. And this is kind of weird. I'm used to seeing the ejection seat up front, but hey, it is what it is. I actually like seeing ejection seats back here in the back because I don't usually put them in until the very end anyway. So it's glad to have that now in sequence where I feel it should be anyhow, but who the hell am I? We have our pilot. I am going to give it a shot at trying to paint an air crewman. Not very good at it, but we will see how this comes out. Fingers crossed, especially in this scale. It's so small, but we'll see how it works out. And then, of course, the last back here is all your canopy stuff, putting it together and getting it installed. So, great stuff. It looks like it's going to be a really good kit. You should see these in the stores here sometime in the August time frame. Like I said, right around $50. And want to just say one more time to Mr. Metal, Fred Metal, and the folks at Tamiya USA. Thanks so much for the sneak peek and the review copy. You guys keep on keeping on, doing a great job. So until the next review, I'm going to say, as we usually do, out from the geeks, let's all be good to each other, and by all means, everybody get out there and go build something. Peace.